Hi class. So in this video I'm going to go through blood flow through the heart. Okay. As I go through it, I'm going to be drawing a heart, like a very simple version of a heart. Okay. So you can see how to do that as well. So again, when you're studying, draw these things out. It's so helpful to draw them out yourself. Use different colors when you're drawing. It makes it so much easier to learn this stuff. Okay. All right. So here first I'm going to draw our two ventricles. Okay. So remember, for the heart, anatomically, right, this is the left and this is the right. Okay, because we're looking at the anterior side of the heart. Okay, so always keep that in mind. Let me make this thinner. Okay, so there we have our left and right ventricle. Here I'm going to draw the outside of the heart. Okay, and you see how I drew the left side surrounding the left ventricle a lot thicker than on the right side. This is because, remember, the left side pumps blood to the whole systemic system, so the rest of the body. Okay, so the muscle is a lot thicker because it has to pump a lot harder. The right side just sends blood to the lungs, right? The lungs are surrounding the heart. They're to the left and right of the heart. So it doesn't have to send that blood very far at all. Okay, so it doesn't need to pump as hard as the left, right? That needs to send blood all the way to our brain, right? The very superior portion of our body, and all the way down even to our toes. Okay, all right. So that's that. All right. So these kind of, we'll draw, kind of come together like this. All right, and then from there, gets a little thinner, goes up. We have these, it's actually 4 veins that take blood into the left atrium. I'm just gonna draw, I'll do this, 2 of them for simplicity. The other 2 come from the other side, so from the right side, but still into the left atrium. So I'm not gonna draw those ones here, just to make it a little bit easier. Okay, let's do this. Okay, so these 4 veins, I just drew 2, are the pulmonary veins. Okay, pulmonary veins. Because they take blood from the lungs, right? Pulmonary means lung. Okay, so let's keep drawing here. Here we have our atria. So I'm gonna draw these. Let me draw some things first, and then I'll go through the rest here. Actually, let's erase this. Okay. All right. So we have one like that and one like this. Okay. So here what I'm drawing now is going to be the aorta. Okay, with 3 branches coming off. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that there is our aorta. That's how blood gets to our systemic blood system. Okay, all right, so this here, it looks like it's cut off a little, but this here, right, in this area here, that's going to be our left atrium. Okay, now on this side, I'm going to draw these things here, these valves. Okay, so I'm just drawing these valves here quickly. So coming from the right atria, atrium, we have the pulmonary artery, and then it splits off in two ways. Okay, so that's our pulmonary artery. Remember, arteries take blood away from the heart. So arteries take blood away from the heart, and veins take blood back to the heart. Okay, so that's the definition. Arteries away from the heart, AA, right? And veins back to the heart. Okay, then we have, another membrane here. Okay. So another, this is the largest vein in the body here that I'm drawing. Okay, so this is known as the superior vena cava and inferior vena cava. Okay, so it converges here and enters into this area here, right? That's the right atrium. Okay, so here, left ventricle, here, left atrium, here, right atrium, right ventricle. Okay. All right. So now how does blood flow? Okay. So again, largest vein in the body here, superior and inferior vena cava. So the inferior vena cava is inferior, right? So this takes blood, oxygen poor blood from everywhere below the diaphragm. Superior vena cava takes blood from everywhere above the diaphragm. Okay, so thoracic cavity, head, neck, shoulder areas, arms. Okay, and then there's a little opening here. Oops, it erased. A little opening there, known as the coronary sinus. Okay. So if you look at my coronary circulation video, you'll know what that does. That takes oxygen poor blood from the heart muscle walls, okay, and brings it to the heart. Okay, so we have blood coming in this way. Actually, let me draw this in blue. Here, draw that back. Okay, so our oxygen poor blood is always denoted as blue. Like veins are always denoted as blue as well. Okay, even though the blood itself is just a darker red when it's deoxygenated, it's not really blue. Okay, so it comes into here, fills the right atrium. Okay, and it also comes from the coronary sinus. Okay, this valve here, this is an atrioventricular valve. Okay, so this one here, there's one on the left side as well, and it's between the atria and the ventricles. All right, so atrioventricular valve, this specific one here on the right side is known as the tricuspid valve because it has 3 cusps to it if you were to look at an actual heart, which we will do in lab. Okay, so tricuspid valve here. So blood flows through the tricuspid valve into the right ventricle. Okay, this tricuspid valve has these, let me go back to black, has these anchors here, these cords. Okay, these are known as the chordae tendineae. So it's tissue made up of collagen that holds the valves to prevent backflow. So it shuts the valve here. So here it's shown basically as shut, right? Once the right ventricle fills with blood, that pressure of the blood and these muscles here known as papillary muscles that hold these cords. Okay, those are the papillary muscles I just drew. Those help to open and close the valve. Okay, we don't want blood flowing back this way, right? We want everything to go where it needs to get to, okay? So we want blood just flowing in one direction. All right, so blood fills our right ventricle, okay? Then when the right ventricle contracts, and we'll go over the electrical conducting system of the heart as well. It's also in the PowerPoint lecture, okay? So now still oxygen, poor blood, right? It fills, or let me go back to blue. It fills the ventricle here and then goes through this valve here, okay? This is the pulmonary semilunar valve. Semilunar because it looks like a half moon if you look at it from the top. So pulmonary semilunar valve. Okay, this leads from the right ventricle to the pulmonary trunk, okay, or pulmonary artery. And this takes oxygen poor blood from the heart to the right and left lung, okay, to get oxygenated. Okay, now, again, and just a note too here, oxygen poor blood is not completely devoid of oxygen. It did not drop all of, the blood did not drop all of its oxygen off in the systemic tissues, okay, only some of it, okay, so it does have an oxygen store, so it does still have some oxygen left, so just a note there. Okay, so in the lungs, it becomes oxygenated from the air that we breathe in. And then once it's oxygenated, it comes back through these pulmonary veins. So again, there are 4 of these. I just showed 2 here. There's 2 coming from behind back here as well, but I'm not going to show those. Okay, but just so you know. Okay, so oxygenated blood, oxygen-rich blood, comes back through the pulmonary veins. So remember, veins take blood back into the heart, okay? It fills the left atria here, okay? And then flows passively into the left ventricle, okay? Then the atria is going to squeeze and push the rest of the blood into the left ventricle. Okay, so this valve here is another atrioventricular valve, right? It's between an atria and a ventricle. This is known as the bicuspid, because it has 2 cusps, or it's also known as the mitral valve. Okay, so bicuspid or mitral valve, it also has chordae tendineae. Let me go back to black. It also has chordae tendineae and those papillary muscles that hold it to the wall of the ventricle, okay? Then fills the left ventricle, and then the left ventricle can squeeze and push blood through this valve here, okay, between the left ventricle and the aorta. This is known as the aortic semilunar valve, okay, aortic semilunar valve. And then blood goes through the aorta to the rest of our body. Okay, so through these 3 areas, I talk about these in the PowerPoint lecture recording. Okay, so make sure you take a look at that. Okay, all right. So that's blood flow through the heart.